In this video, we'll look at sector-wise highlights of the 2020 Union Budget. The 2020 budget has been made by keeping in mind three themes. The first one is Aspirational India, to boost the standard of living. The second one is Economic Development for all. And the third one is Building a Humane and Caring Society. First, we'll look at the new income tax slabs. If your current income is between 5 lakh and 7.5 lakh, the income tax has been reduced to 10% from the current 20%. Similarly, if your income is between 7.5 lakh and 10 lakh, you will be taxed at 15%, which was earlier 20%, and so on and so forth. The reason behind reducing the income tax is to boost people's purchasing power. The more money you will save from your income, the more you will be able to spend. And that will increase demand, because income and demand are directly related. Ultimately, that's how economy keeps going and inflation is under control. Companies will no longer be required to pay dividend distribution tax. Now, government has also decided to remove dividend distribution tax on companies. Let me quickly tell you what dividend distribution tax is. It is the tax which is imposed by the Indian government on Indian companies when they pay dividend to its shareholders. A company has many shareholders, right? Whenever the company makes profit, it has to pay some money to its shareholders out of its profit. Even that money is taxed. So now the government is saying that companies have to no longer pay dividend distribution tax. That's a good thing for the companies. For a company, if they can save any amount of money by not paying tax, it's a profit for them. So of course it will make India an attractive destination for investment. However, now the companies don't have to pay the tax. The tax has been shifted to the recipients or the shareholders who receive the money as dividend. To make it more simpler, suppose you buy a share of a company. And let's say the company made profit. That means the company is supposed to give you some dividend from its profit. So earlier companies used to pay a tax which is called the dividend distribution tax to the government before paying the dividend to the shareholders. And now the government has shifted that burden of tax onto the shareholder who receives the dividend as per their tax bracket. It is similar to how you get taxed on your interest income from bank fixed deposits. So if you reduce the tax slab on one hand and include the dividend tax on the other, of course, I'm not taking it as a general argument. Not everyone chooses to invest in shares and mutual funds. But for the sake of the argument, if you are someone who invests in shares and mutual funds, then tax will be levied on your salary, dividends and interests. That means your overall taxable income will go up. So basically it equalizes. Now for a company, it is a good thing that they no more have to pay dividend distribution tax. That means now they will have more funds. Whether or not they will pay higher dividends to their shareholders is something that needs to be seen. Aadhaar-based verification for GST compliance to be introduced. The whole purpose behind Aadhaar-based verification for GST compliance is to identify all those business units who are trying to game the system. Now that Aadhaar card is the centralized valid document that an individual uses for almost everything, and we all know to what extent a business owner goes to evade taxation, Aadhaar-based verification will easily identify any frauds related to tax credit and refund. Let's go to the next sector, economy and finance. Bank deposit insurance cover had been increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakh per depositor. Now what is bank deposit insurance cover? From the term, you can easily figure out that it is talking about some kind of insurance cover on your bank deposit. The purpose of insurance is to compensate in case of any failure. Now I'll ask you a question. What kind of money do you think will be at risk if you keep it in a bank? They are called savings, fixed and recurring deposits. I hope now you understand the question. The insurance cover on bank deposits has been increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakh per depositor. That means tomorrow, in case if the bank is in crisis and is not able to operate, then as a depositor, you are eligible for Rs 5 lakh insurance cover, which was previously 1 lakh. You will only get this money only if the bank gets closed. The deposit insurance scheme covers all banks operating in India, including private sector, cooperative and even branches of foreign banks in India. The bank deposits are insured by Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, which is called DICGC. It is a subsidiary of the Reserve Bank of India. All the banks pay a nominal premium to this agency for the insurance cover. The government plans to amend the Companies Act to decriminalize civil offences. Here they are talking about the Companies Act 2013. It is the most important piece of legislation that empowers the central government to regulate the formation, financing, functioning and winding up of the companies. The Act contains the mechanism regarding organizational, financial and managerial aspects of a company. Now the government wants to amend the Companies Act to decriminalize civil offences. As per the Companies Act, any violation which is a criminal offence can lead to imprisonment for executives if they are found guilty. By violation, I mean frauds, money laundering, tax evasion, etc. Basically, they are called a white-collar crime. So the government is saying that if the fraud is not very serious, through an amendment, the government wants to put those violations under civil offence and not under criminal offence. There's a big difference between criminal and civil offence. A civil offence may attract penalties, but a criminal offence can lead to imprisonment. As of now, more than 40 instances of violations under the Companies Act are punishable by prison. You can imagine this may discourage and scare the businesses and investors before starting a business. Many in the business community see it as a harassment by the government. And obviously our economy depends on the business community. So the government is trying to find a balanced approach by decriminalizing civil offences. The government is planning to sell its stake in LIC via public offering. So basically what it means is that the government wants to sell its asset, which is in this case the LIC. But right now it is proposing to sell a part of its holding in LIC. If you see, the government currently owns the entire 100% stake in Life Insurance Corporation of India. Government engages in disinvestment policy only when they find that their public sector units are showing a negative rate of return. And it is turning out to be a liability to the government than being assets. However, the government is not saying that they want to sell the Life Insurance Corporation completely, but they're initiating the process. If you know, government has engaged in disinvestment policies with regards to Air India, Bharat Petroleum, Shipping Corporation and Container Corporation. If you look at LIC's total non-performing assets, it has risen to 6.1% in the first 6 months of 2019. The gross NPAs have almost doubled in the last 5 years. The government is not saying that they want to sell the LIC completely. So they are just selling a part of its holding. That means by listing a company on stock exchange, it disciplines a company and provides access to financial markets and unlocks its value. By doing this, the government will be able to earn some 8 to 10 lakh crores. And that will allow the government to meet its highest ever disinvestment target and attract foreign investors. Now let's go to the agriculture sector. The government has decided to allocate 2.83 lakh crore for the sector comprising agriculture and allied activities. Now this amount is divided into two portions. 1.6 lakh crore for agriculture, irrigation and allied activities and rupees 1.23 lakh crore for rural development and Panchayati Raj. The aim behind this move is to double the farmers' income by 2022. Under agriculture and allied activities, the money will be spent behind the expansion of micro irrigation through Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Money will also be allotted in creating storage, financing, processing and marketing solutions in cooperation with the states. Investment in chemical fertilizers and energy also comes under this investment. Now coming to the investment in rural development and Panchayati Raj, this means investment is going to be in providing water facilities, energy, sanitation, education and skills. The government has set the agricultural credit availability to 15 lakh crore for 2020-21. Agricultural credit is required to buy machines like tractors, threshers, harvesters, water pumping sets, etc. Then chemical fertilizers, seeds, etc. The source of agricultural credit can be broadly classified into institutional and non-institutional sources. Non-institutional sources include money lenders, traders and commission agents, relatives and landlords. But institutional sources include cooperatives, commercial banks including the SBI Group, RBI and NABARD. Non-institutional sources are very active in the agricultural credit space, but they charge a very high rate of interest and can be a burden for the farmers. By keeping this in mind, the agriculture credit availability target for the year 2020-21 has been set at rupees 15 lakh crore. If you remember last year in February 2019, Pradhan Mantri Kisan scheme was launched, through which all small and marginal farmers will get up to Rs 6,000 per year as minimum income support. The fund is directly transferred to the bank accounts of the beneficiaries. All those beneficiaries are also eligible for the Kisan credit card loan. It is for them the government has made Rs 15 lakh crore available as agricultural credit. The government has announced to take comprehensive measures for 100 water-stressed districts. The main districts are located in the state of Tamil Nadu, followed by Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Telangana. The initiative will be part of the Jal Jeevan Mission, which currently has a budget of Rs 3.06 lakh crore. This fund will be used for various water management programs like rainwater harvesting, sewage water treatment, water desalination, recharge of lakes as well as renewal of existing water resources, and intensive afforestation. Groundwater depletion has a huge impact on urban and rural economy. Water is a vital resource for both residential and industrial purposes, and inefficient water management models further accentuate the crisis. The government is going to provide 20 lakh farmers standalone solar pumps and help another 15 lakh farmers to solarize their power grid. The government basically wants to help farmers generate income from solar power. If you look at the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Uttam scheme, it is a scheme for farmers for installation of solar pumps and grid-connected solar and other renewable power plants in the country. It is launched by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So basically through this scheme, the government wants to set up solar power projects on a farmer's land. If the land is dry and uncultivable land, then the owner of the land will continue to earn an income by renting out to the solar power project. In case of cultivated lands, the farmers can continue to grow their crops as the solar panels will be set up above a minimum height. This way the landowners can generate additional income. The energy generated from these solar power projects is for rural centers and their agricultural activities. In this budget, the government has extended the same scheme to more farmers. This is another way of making the farmers independent. Village storage scheme is proposed to be run by women SHGs. The idea behind this plan is to empower the women and enhance their status in rural part of the country. First, let me tell you what is a self-help group. Informal association of people who choose to come together to find ways to improve their living conditions. 10 to 20 women or men who want to improve their living conditions by setting up their own savings and loan fund. Have you ever heard of domestic chit fund? You must have seen it in your own colony. In a small colony, one person will run a chit business where the participants will be either the member of the colony or someone who is known. It is not a legal chit fund. It runs on trust and personal contact. It's a very old system in India, back when there was no banks available. People would collect some money every month, which would be given to the person who urgently needs money for requirements like building a house, children's marriage, etc. So this is what is called a self-help group. And the reason why this kind of social savings scheme is not part of mainstream finance is so that it can avoid taxation. Plus, this is not something that the government is not aware of. The government knows it. So the government is saying that the village storage scheme can be run by women self-help groups. See, you must always remember that the government can make anyone do anything, either by giving incentives or by making a rule and add tax or fine. You see, this is a method by incentivizing people to join the mainstream economy. So village storage schemes are basically storage facilities like a godown where agricultural products can be stored. The government is basically saying that the construction of these storage facilities will be financed by the self-help groups. This way, the government will not only know how much money is being transacted, but it is also making the rural development and economy sustainable through their own people's money and their effort. Indian Railways to have refrigerated coaches capability in Kisan Rails to carry perishables and milk. The government has proposed to set up a Kisan Rail through the public-private partnership model. These train wagons will have a carrying capacity of 17 tons each for transportation of highly perishable parcel. These wagons will be developed and procured through the rail coach factory at Kapurthala, Punjab. These wagons are temperature controlled and are currently produced by Container Corporation of India Limited at Gazipur Ghat in UP Adarsh Nagar in Delhi, and Raja Ka Talab in UP as a pilot project under the Kisan Vision project. These trains will provide a seamless connections between farms, markets and consumers. Krishi Udan on international and national routes. The transport of agricultural products will also be done through aerial mode through Krishi Udan scheme. Krishi Udan will be launched by the Ministry of Civil Aviation on international and national routes. This will immensely help improve the value of agricultural products, especially in the northeast and tribal districts. Because northeastern part of India is fortunate to have strong agricultural diversity, ranging from dairy to commercial fishing, fruit, vegetable, forest products, nursery and greenhouse across the region. In 2016, the Modi government has launched Udan scheme for letting the common citizen of the country fly by making air travel affordable. So the idea of Krishi Udan is also on the similar lines. Let's go to the health and sanitation sector. Government has allocated 69,000 crore for the health sector. Now last year the government allocated a record 62,659 crore. This year it has increased by 10%. Whenever the government allocates so much of money behind health sector, what it actually means is that the government is spending to upgrade public hospitals, because that is the only option through which millions of poor people can avail health treatments in the country. According to the National Statistical Office, the average medical expense in a government hospital is 4,452 rupees in comparison to 31,845 rupees at a private hospital. When you go to a government hospital, everything is free. Plus, it is difficult to identify the beneficiaries because all citizens are eligible for treatment free of charge in the public hospital system. If you look at the data, every year India's health budget increases. Government spending on healthcare every year increases, but still it is not even 1% of the national income. So the question is, if the national income of the country is increasing year by year, then why is that the government spending on healthcare of its own citizen is not even 1% of the national income? The government has planned to spend 12,300 crore for Swachh Bharat this year. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was launched in 2014 with a mission to clean up the street, roads and infrastructure of cities, towns, urban and rural areas in India. On the rural side, more work needs to be done. Swachh Bharat Gramin aims to achieve open defecation free status. The fact of the matter is that India is still not open defecation free. This kind of human practice of defecating outside rather than into a toilet is still practiced at many rural areas and also in few urban areas around the country. If you look at the launch date of this Swachh Bharat campaign, it started in 2014. So far, some estimated 11 crore toilets have been constructed. But it still requires a lot of work. Because once you build the toilets, the next problem is towards liquid and grey water management. Grey water is basically all sources of domestic wastewater such as bathroom sinks, showers, tubs and washing machines, excluding toilet wastewater. Especially in developing countries, improper grey water management is one of the most important causes of environmental pollution and fatal diseases. And then comes the solid waste collection and its segregation. All of this requires a lot of money. That's why the total allocation for Swachh Bharat mission is Rs 12,300 crore in 2020 and 21. Government has proposed to set up hospitals in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities with the private sector using PPP model. Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities are the places where the requirement of a hospital is much more for poor people. If you know, there is a scheme called Ayushman Bharat Yojana or the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. In English, it is called National Health Protection Scheme. It was launched in 2018. The beneficiary gets an e-card and can avail health services at empaneled hospitals, both public or private, anywhere in the country. The e-card provides a coverage of Rs 5 lakh per family per year, thus helping the economically disadvantaged people to obtain easy access to healthcare services. And the government has a very good mechanism to find out who are eligible for this facility. The government will investigate for the following options. If a person fits the criteria of any of the 9 options mentioned, then they are not entitled for the health cover. Presently, under this scheme, there are more than 20,000 empaneled hospitals. But we need more in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities for poorer people. And how does the government plans to do that? It will do it in different phases. In the first phase, the government will target those districts which are affected severely by poor social economic condition. The government will set up hospitals with the help of private sector by using a scheme called viability gap funding. So basically what the government will do is it will pay certain percentage of the total capital cost of the project. Let's say if a hospital requires 1 crore rupees, then the government will pay, let's say 20 lakhs. This is called viability gap funding. And the government is going to create this fund by imposing a nominal health cess or tax by way of customs duty on the imports of medical equipment. The money from this tax will be used for creating infrastructure for health services in the distressed districts. The government is also planning to expand Jan Aushadhi scheme to provide for all hospitals under Ayushman Bharat by 2025. So Jan Aushadhi scheme is another campaign launched by the Department of Pharmaceuticals to provide quality medicines at affordable prices. These medicines are sold through exclusive outlets called Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Kendras, and the medicines are given particularly to the poor and disadvantaged people. In the last point, we saw what Ayushman Bharat Yojana is all about. Basically, the beneficiary gets an e-card and can avail health services at empaneled hospitals, both private and public. So the government is saying that by 2025, all the empaneled hospitals under Ayushman Bharat scheme will sell medicines at affordable prices, which are again coming through another scheme called Jan Aushadhi scheme. Basically, the government is trying to merge two schemes together and interlinking it. Let's go to the education sector. The government has decided to invest 99,300 crore for education sector in 2021 and about 3,000 crore for skill development. This is 4,500 crore higher than last year's allocation. Education sector has also been opened for external commercial borrowings. That means, for example, an educational institute can raise money outside the country in foreign currency. This will lead to the expansion of existing investment in the education sector. It will also attract talented teachers, global research institutes who can then build better labs. If you think about it, it is a smart move because today banks are slowing down credit to companies across sectors. The government is also investing 3,000 crore for skill development. You see, India already has the largest working age population in the world. Not only do they need literacy, but they need both job as well as life skills. Urban local bodies to provide internship to young engineers for a year. We already have a national skill development agency that teaches infrastructure-focused skills, so that an individual is well equipped with the required set of skills and can effectively join the workforce. The government has also announced that 150 national institutions will start apprenticeship, embedded degree or diploma courses by March 2020. This is basically like a guaranteed placement only for engineering degree and diploma holders for a period of 1 year. Degree-level full-fledged online education programs by institutions ranked in top 100 in NIRF rankings, especially to benefit underprivileged students. This move will replace formal education by specialized online programs. As it is, the Government of India spends heavily on centrally run institutions. Everything is heavily subsidized in a centrally run institution. By allowing top 100 NIRF ranked institutes to award online degrees is a step in the right direction. Moments back we saw that the government has opened education sector for external commercial borrowings. Government is looking all the possible ways to attract more private investment in education. IND SAT exam for students of Asia and Africa to promote Study in India program. The government is also planning to introduce IND SAT exam to enroll Asian and African students in Indian universities. This exam will be similar to SAT and GMAT exams of the United States to enroll foreign students. This decision was taken by the government by keeping in mind that India should be a preferred destination for higher education among foreign students. This will improve the soft power of India and it can be used as a tool in diplomacy. Finally, let's have a look at the infrastructure sector. The budget proposes to provide 1.7 lakh crore for transport infrastructure in 2021. Transport infrastructure consists of the fixed installations including roads, railways, airways, waterways, canals and pipelines, and terminals such as airports, railway stations, bus stations, warehouses, trucking terminals, refueling depot including fueling docks and fueling station, and seaports. So whenever you hear the word investment for transport infrastructure, the money will be spent behind all these transport infrastructure facilities. National Logistics Policy to be released soon. National Logistics Policy aims to promote uninterrupted movement of goods across the country and reduce high transaction cost. Logistics is a critical driver of economic development. The logistics cost in India is around 13 to 14% of GDP, which is very high compared to USA, which is at 9 to 10%, Europe, which is at 10%, and Japan, which is at 11%. In India, the logistics sector is still very unorganized. So the main priority in front of India is to organize the logistics sector and make it cost effective. The government also plans to increase employment through this policy and make the micro, small and medium enterprises competitive. Logistics cost has to be brought down for global competition. Otherwise, it will hamper FDI, because think about it, if you are a foreign company and you would like to set up a business in India, you are going to get all your material and goods by ship. From the seaport to your business location, there are so many formalities that you have to go through, and it will all become very expensive. That is why the government is trying hard to bring down the logistics cost for global competitiveness. Chennai to Bengaluru Expressway to be started. This is going to be a 262 km 6-lane expressway from Hoskote in Karnataka to Sri Perumbudur in Tamil Nadu. It is expected to decrease travel time between Bengaluru and Chennai to 4 hours. The project is going to be implemented under public-private partnership. The expressway project will be executed in 5 phases: Bengaluru to Kolar, Kolar to Palamaner, Palamaner to Chittoor, Chittoor to Kanchipuram, and Kanchipuram to Sri Perumbudur. The estimate cost of this project is around 17,900 crores. It requires the acquisition of 2,650 hectares of land. At least 9,500 passenger car units travel between two cities every day, so it will ease the flow of traffic. The construction of the expressway will boost plans to develop a mega industrial zone called the Chennai to Bengaluru Industrial Corridor. This industrial corridor is being designed on the lines of the Delhi to Mumbai Industrial Corridor, which is expected to complete by 2023. Industrial corridor offer effective integration between industry and infrastructure, leading to overall economic and social development. Chennai and Bengaluru are going to be megacities soon. Currently, they are metropolitan cities. The Indian Railway aims to achieve electrification of 27,000 kilometers of railway track. The government plans to electrify all railway tracks in next 3 years. 37,500 km, which is 58% of railway tracks, are already electrified. The remaining 27,000 km of railway tracks is yet to be electrified. Complete electrification of railway line will reduce pollution and enhance the efficiency of railways. You can read more on how electric power trains have a number of advantages over diesel engines. They are pollution free. It also reduces noise, which is beneficial for cities like Delhi. Then the maintenance cost of diesel locomotive is much higher as compared with electric locomotive. The only disadvantage is that the train can stop in case of power supply failure or any cable wire breakdown. However, such cases are very rare in a year compared to diesel loco failure. The government also proposed the setting up of large solar power capacity alongside the railway tracks on Indian Railways land. The whole idea is to give the Indian Railways massive power boost and also cut down on its annual electricity bill. The Indian Railways also aims to become a net zero carbon emitter by 2030. The Government of India has also invited private operators to run trains on the Indian Railway network. As many as 150 private trains have been proposed to start running in the next 3 to 4 years' time. A lot of initiatives have been taken by the government in the railway sector. The government also plans to put more trains like the Tejas Express on key tourism routes of India. Moments back, we also read how the government has proposed to invest 1.7 lakh crore for transport infrastructure. Transport infrastructure includes building of railway stations and railway tracks. So private trains are going to run on Indian Railway network. More Tejas type express trains will begin on famous tourist sites. Remaining railway lines are going to be electrified. Kisan rails are going to be another addition, and large solar power capacity units are to be installed along Indian Railway lines. The government also proposes a Bengaluru suburban rail project at cost of 18,600 crore. The Bengaluru suburban rail project is a 148-kilometer long railway line. This is also part of the election promise made by the ruling government for the city. The project will have 4 corridors. Initially, the project was divided into 50-50 ratio between the central and state government. As per the new announcement, the centre will now provide 20% of the funds, while 60% of the funds will be raised from external resources like financing from banks, institutional financing and external investments, and the remaining will be bared by the state. The government is going to monetize 12 lots of national highways by 2024. When it says government is going to monetize, it actually means the authority is the National Highways Authority of India. They will monetize at least 12 highway stretches before 2024 to raise more money. When the government says that it is going to monetize the highway, it simply means that it will start generating revenue from the highway roads through toll operation. So basically, whenever you use that highway, you will have to pay certain amount of fee at the toll plaza. The money generated from such monetization will be utilized by the government for future development and operations and maintenance of highways in the country. And by the way, the government does not operate the toll plaza. It is given to private investors who bid for it. And the model is called Toll Operate Transfer (TOT) model. The highest bidder wins the rights to operate and maintenance of the road assets for 30 years, with rights to toll revenues from these assets. This model is more attractive for investors as they don't have to build an infrastructure project from scratch. 100 more airports will be developed by 2024 to support UDAN. The government is planning to develop 100 more airports by 2024 to support the UDAN scheme. UDAN scheme has been known as a Regional Airport Development and Regional Connectivity Scheme, with the aim of letting the common citizen fly at an affordable price. We have also read how the government has also announced the new Krishi Udan scheme for the transportation of agricultural products through aerial mode on national and international routes. So again, the government is trying to merge 2 different schemes together. One is the Udan scheme by making more regional airports and interlinking the other scheme, Krishi Udan. Because if there will be more regional airports, then more agricultural products will be transported through aerial mode across the country. So these were the quick highlights of this year's budget. I hope you found this video informative. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.